Yeah. Canelo Alvarez is done. It's a wrap. Yeah. That's it. That's it, guys. That's the whole live. It's a wrap. This is your boy JG's Punch Report. We out. Now I'm playing. Let me get this pulled up real quick. I've been playing around with some new software and clearly I have no idea what I'm doing. But that's okay. That is A-okay. But now it looks like we are cooking. Yeah, we on deck. Anyway, this is your boy JG. This is a Punch Report. Let's just get into it right now. Last night, Triple G, Canelo Alvarez, 3, trilogy bout. Nobody was checking for that. Shout out to those combatants that made a boatload of money to trend on Twitter for a fight that took place on the undercard. It is over for Canelo Alvarez, and let me explain why. We know Canelo's coming off the Triple G loss. He got lumped up. Or excuse me, the Dimitri Bivol loss. He got lumped up pretty good. He ducked the rematch. It is what it is. And now we're in a position where he said, you know what, let's do the Triple G trilogy. That was the plan all along. If I beat Bivol, he didn't beat Bivol, still did the Triple G trilogy. And he went out there. I didn't watch the fight. Full disclosure, I did not watch the fight last night. I checked it out this morning. But before I went to bed last night, I took a look at, the result, and it was a unanimous decision, 12-rounder. And I immediately went to bed with a smile on my face because I said to myself, before the bout took place, if there was a scenario where Triple G was able to survive, look good, have spots, that it was over for Canelo Alvarez. And respect to Triple G because his chin is still there, his durability is still there, but clearly going up to 168 pounds, new division he's never competed at, being plus 40 years of age, shout out to him. He didn't look himself. I heard rumors, and I had not checked out the weigh-ins and stuff, but that he was looking like, like a snack a little bit. In the fight, he looked like he struggled to acclimate to competing at 168 pounds. If it were me, I would have came in way under. I would have trained for, did my diet and nutrition and strength and conditioning to fight at 160 and then just let the cards fall where they may, not being concerned about Canelo Alvarez. But I think he really did try to blow up a little bit, put on the extra weight so he can compete at that weight, and it just didn't look good for him. But he went to distance with Canelo. Now, let me give you my reasons why I felt like, because I did 2 breakdowns of this fight, Canelo Alvarez was going to destroy Gennady Golovkin. The first breakdown that I did, I stated that I didn't even want to see the fight because I just felt terrible for Golovkin. And the second breakdown, I took him more serious, gave tips and, how you're going to win and all this other nonsense. But Canelo Alvarez, the self-purported face of boxing, and according to Eddie Hearn, but those are the only 2 people who really think that. He comes into this fight and he says, I lost to Bivol, got lumped up, got my ass whooped. Now I'm going back to my division where I'm undisputed at 168 pounds. I have all the belts, and I'm going to destroy Gennady Golovkin in a trilogy, and I'm going to look good doing it. We saw Canelo in the lead up to this fight, at least after the announcement initially, start his fake beef campaign. I hate this guy, and he says my name too much, blah, blah, blah. No one believes you, Canelo. You need more people. But anyway, but I was convinced coming off the Bivol loss and understanding that people are now questioning who you are in the sport of boxing, what you bring to the table. Are you still indeed the face of boxing? I knew for sure that Canelo Alvarez was going to go out here and blow away Gennady Golovkin Triple G because he had no other option. Anything other than Canelo just destroying Triple G was going to be an L. If you look at media this morning, Triple G's legacy's intact. Triple G's the man. What a warrior. Such courage. Way to go out on your shield. Blah, blah, blah. It's not about Canelo's victory, and rightfully so, because the shit was abysmal. The cards were pretty close. I know people are debating that right now, saying that, Canelo won decisively. I agree to a degree, but, he lost lump-sided on jabs. That's not a shot. Gennady Golovkin has a tremendous jab. He utilizes that very, very well. He had a decisive advantage in power punches, but the discrepancy for punches total landed was like 10 between the two of them. So that, in my opinion, is a pretty close fight. So what do you favor? Do you favor range control and jabs, or do you favor power strikes? You know, Canelo Alvarez had the advantage in power strikes. Shout out to Bigger. If the era to be over would mean someone else has is coming up to sell as much. That's a great point. A lot of that is supported by the fact that the zone has no idea how to operate business. And shout out to everybody that went there initially and got a crazy ass bag. Canelo, Devin Haney, Gennady Golovkin, these guys all got a crazy amount of money when they went to the zone. Right now, what you're seeing is Canelo get paid based off of things that he did in the past, which is real life shit, honestly, right? You go to a job, you fill out a resume, you submit that, they review what you bring to the table, and they say, you know what, Mr. Irv, we're going to give you $115,000 based on your experience. That's what happens, and that's where Canelo's kind of at right now. But as far as moving forward, being the face of boxing, that era really truly is over. The fact that Eddie Hearn fixed his mouth to say that this fight was bigger than Errol Spence Jr. turns Bud Crawford at this point is laughable. We're never gonna know what the numbers were. That's something we'll just never know. But it's really a wrap, and that fight won't do the numbers. It won't get the buzz or build up that a Bud Crawford Errol Spence fight will get. It just will not happen. Now, a part of this is based on a design flaw that the zone is currently operating under. They have fights whether we want to see the fights or not. They're good fights, bad fights, whatever. Whether they're bloated contracts, it doesn't matter. For whatever reason or another, if you guys have paid attention to the sport of boxing, the zone doesn't promote fights. They just wait till the week out. They'll do stupid ass, grand arrival, put some posters up, and do a bunch of shit that no one's gonna watch. If you think about a Fox build up, Showtime build up, if we get the fight done 12 to 8 weeks, 12 to 8 weeks out, you're gonna get blasted in the face with programming nonstop. They build the fight, and guess what? Then the fights do numbers. But for whatever reason or another, DAZN is not interested in doing that type of promotion really for any of their fighters. And that does hurt Canelo. If you think about the Caleb Plant fight, that did 800,000 buys, I believe, plus or minus just a bit. There's a reason why it did those crazy numbers. One, it was for the undisputed. Two, Caleb Plant is a pretty name-known guy in the States. Three, it was a Fox event. I believe it was a Fox PBC event. So they had crazy shoulder programming. You see the combination of a name like Canelo Alvarez with a tremendous network backing him, which the zone is not, then you see those numbers. But that's just to your point. Overall, him as a combat sports icon, that's solidified. I think he's made some questionable moves along the way in his career. And people would argue, say, well, he's had the right to do that. That's great. But I think, for my opinion, right now, he's too young right now. He's too young, in my opinion, right now, and talented to be in this position where he's taking these weird-ass fights that have little to no meaning. The trilogy with Triple G, shout out to Triple G, but that fight had little to no meaning, in my opinion. If someone disagrees, let me know. But what did that fight mean to you? What did it mark in the landscape of boxing? They had two great fights in pretty close proximity. One got pushed out because of the failed drug test by Canelo, but this fight is about 3 or 4 years too late. It's expired. Canelo's lost. Triple G hasn't looked the same. Why did we need to see this fight again? It was almost like, hey, what are you doing in September? Yeah, I'm not busy. Did you take care of the Red Emirata thing? You did? Okay, cool. That's what's up. Do you want to just get this out of the way? We'll both make crazy money. I won't kick your ass too bad. It'll be at 168, though, so you have a chance at my belts. But let me know if you're interested. Just send me a text or an email. So then Golovkin's like, hey, yeah, I'm down. We can do this. And so they do the fight. That's all that fight meant. And you have to look at the probabilities. What chance did Gennady Golovkin have to win on the scorecards? Despite the closeness in the result of the bout, it was very little. It was very minimal. He had a very minimal chance to win that bout on the scorecard, in my opinion. He was going to have to go out there and knock out Canelo Alvarez. And Canelo Alvarez I've seen him buckled once when he was young. He's never been knocked down, and he's never been stopped either. So that was not going to happen. So for me, I felt like that fight was a fight that we didn't need to see. We saw it. It is what it is. But looking at that fight, understanding where these combatants are in their career, that didn't need to happen. And for Canelo Alvarez, it's really a wrap. You lost a Beeble. You just went 12 with a 40-year-old Golovkin. at 168. Now you start thinking about who's at 168 right now. Benavidez, Morrell, you got Charlo coming up. These dudes got dumbass power. They can fight and they're young. Who out of those three, just those three that I listed, who's Canelo beating? Shit, it might be all of them, but I don't see it. And are those fights going to happen? And I never want to see him again ever in life fight at 175 pounds. Not against Zordo Ramirez. He said he might entertain the idea of a Dimitri Bivol rematch if he beats Zordo, which is dumb as hell, but he's not fighting Beterbiev. We know that. Like, what are we talking about? And then it's the idea, the rumor of, I'll even entertain the fact that, I'll go to 190. Just stop it. Be at 68, lose your belts eventually, and then right the wrongs of the mistakes that you've made, because at the end of the day, you're holding up that division. Now, this is an interesting point. Now that this is out of the way, Canelo didn't take any damage. You have guys who are chomping at the bit at 168 pounds or coming up from 160 to have an opportunity to fight for a belt. I'm not even saying fight Canelo, but just fight for a belt. Who does have all the belts? Who does he fight and who does he beat? That's my question. Who does Canelo fight and who does he beat? Do you even want to see that anymore? Anybody in the chat right now, right this second, are you interested in seeing Canelo Alvarez continue fighting people after how he looked last night against 4-year-old Golovkin with a doughy body? I'm very curious. Also, my next question, with the result in hand, so we've already seen the fight, is that if Terrence Crawford, Errol Spence Jr. gets done in real life, like for real, is that fight bigger than Terrence Crawford, Errol Spence? Is the Triple G Golovkin fight, the trilogy, bigger than Bud Crawford, Spence Jr.? That potential upcoming bout. And I hate the fact that I have to talk about it like that, because it lets you know, or, Eddie Hearn might end up being right, because if Crawford and Spence don't get this shit signed, that's going to be sad. I'm not going to be happy about that. But that's a bit of an understatement. I think most people feel that way right now when it comes to those combatants at the welterweight division. What that fight means, undisputed, never happened at that weight class. Two fighters legitimately at the height of their power, Crawford and Spence, differing styles, prime American fighters, belt holders, undisputed. What that fight looks like, what it means to the sport of boxing. To potentially not get that is wild. And it's looking like that might be the case. And these guys played a game. I saw this conspiracy theory. I don't even know if you can call it that, but pretty much saying that both combatants have agreed to all the material terms of the deal. This fight is coming. But they dropped that nugget out there just to disrupt the potential sale and view of the Triple G Golovkin fight. They didn't need, if that's true, they didn't need to do that. That was a bad fight, and nobody wanted to see it. They didn't need to do anything extra, which is funny to me. But shout out to Canelo, man. He did his thing. He got it done. I know he got a crazy ass bag. I know Golovkin got a bag too. Like I said before at the beginning, a fight didn't go the way you felt like it was going to go from the ending perspective, when all of the post-fight media is about the securing legacy of a Triple G, how he held up, he's a true warrior, and not the praise of Canelo Alvarez went out there, boxed beautifully, put on a masterclass, destroyed Gennady Golovkin, and reestablished why he is the number one pound-for-pound fighter in the world and the face of boxing. Nobody's having that conversation this morning. 0 people are actually having that conversation. That's not a thing that's happening. So I need to know what's next for Canelo. And I need to know when the zone's going to be able to recoup this money they've spent on paying fighters and paying guys who are in shitty-ass fights. And what's up with the undercards? If you just joined the chat, one of the things that I said earlier, or excuse me, the stream, one of the things that I said earlier was, when I woke up this morning, I jumped on Twitter. I just want to see what was out there, right? Shout out to Corey Sandhagen. I knew he was going to get that done. Shout out to the UFC. One of the things I saw trending Canelo Alvarez Triple G3, Twitter, clicked on it. It was another bout by two dudes that I'm unfamiliar with. That was the takeaway from the fight, or excuse me, from the card. It wasn't Gennady Golovkin Triple G, or fuck, that's the same case. Anyway, Canelo Triple G, that wasn't the takeaway. What was trending under those two names were two cats from the undercard. That lets you know everything you need to know about that fight. But we already knew what it was going to be. We knew what kind of fight that was going to be. But really, that's all I really got to say on it for the most part. I really do think it's a wrap for Canelo. He'll continue to fight. I think at this point in time, don't do 175. You're not. It's not like I don't believe you. I do not believe you're not going to fight Bivol again, which is fine. Let's just be honest about what it is. That's a duck, and that's totally fine. I want to see you defend those belts repeatedly at 168 pounds, Canelo. Fight those young dudes out there. No, absolutely not. Shout out to you, Wide Body Manny. Shout out to Wide Body. That's a dope ass name. I don't think that's a smart fight for Canelo. I did a breakdown video, and I stated that my hope and my wish and desire is that Canelo never fights Bivol again. The reason why I'm mentioning it now is because they talk so much about it. Oh, I might fight Bivol, blah, 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 blah. No, it's not smart because he would lose in the same manner or worse. He would get stopped. I don't want to see him fight anybody at 175 pounds. He's not light heavyweight. Just don't do it. Just stay the hell away from it. Be at 68. Fight those guys. There's great fights down there. I agree. Flossy Sports TV, shout out to you. I agree wholeheartedly. Benavidez needs a title shot. And here's what I love about Benavidez. He got off the chasing Canelo train, and I appreciate that. Chase. Okay, that's fine. I'm just going to keep fighting guys, fighting David Lemieux, fighting guys that maybe not a lot of people are familiar with, and destroying them. And that's what you're supposed to do. Keep beating the shit out of people, right? And then put yourself in a position where it's undeniable. And if Canelo Alvarez decides to skirt that fight, we know exactly what it is. Because if you're in a position of a David Benavidez and you've just won, you're putting on amazing performances, displaying that crazy-ass hand speed, combination punching, brutalizing people, destroying them quickly inside of 5 rounds, and you're doing this repeatedly and continuing to step up, what is a Canelo Alvarez going to do? Who else are you going to fight? Really, if you're Canelo, who else do you fight? You're not fighting at 175, so take that off the table. You are undisputed at 168 pounds. That's the reality of the situation. So you got to fight those beasts down there. That's what has to happen. There's no getting around that. But we're going to have to wait and see. And I think that overall, we're going to get a lot of information Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday of this week coming up about the direction of the career of a Canelo Alvarez. Yeah, so yes, and shout out to Flossy Sports TV, and that is accurate. And another thing I appreciate about Benavidez, he brings them belts with him. Every time he fucks up one of these guys for these interim belts and these secondary belts and all, he brings that shit with him. Look, I got these belts. All right, stop running for me. And but the one thing, him being a mandatory, kind of is irrelevant because Canelo's in an elevated position. Franchise, move around. I don't have to fight mandatory's bullshit position with the WBC. Now, where we could see some action is on the other sanctioning bodies who don't have made up belts and back doors and all this other weirdo shit. They can mando him. But we either get to see Canelo get mandoed or we see him vacate belts, which he has done before at 160 pounds. And I think he may have done it at 154 pounds, but don't quote me on that. But when it comes up to the WBC, they play too many games, and they love Canelo, and they love the fact that he's a title holder for that organization, and they would not force him to fight anybody, especially someone that's going to be dangerous. But for me, my opinion is I don't see the luster there anymore for Canelo Alvarez, outside of a big Irv and the point that he made that he still generates a lot of revenue, but that's contractual money. As far as gate and pay-per-view, I can't wait to see the pay-per-view. I can't wait to see the fucking pay-per-view because I know those numbers are going to flop. I felt very comfortable last night saying, oh, I'll catch that tomorrow on a replay for free. Very comfortable with that, versus a fight like a Bud Crawford, Errol Spence, because I think that's a good comparison. I'm going to buy that twice. I'm going to buy that for myself and maybe for a friend because that's a crazy fight. That's an exciting fight. The build-up for that is going to be ridiculous. Unfortunately, I might be saying this to you all right now, and we don't get that shit. which is not fun. This can't be another. This can't be another Pacquiao Mayweather from the perspective we get it 4 or 5 years too late. Pacquiao Mayweather, in my opinion, is bigger than a Spence Crawford fight, just simply because both of those guys had built themselves in a pay-per-view environment, crazy fan bases, so much money, and when they finally got it done, you knew it was going to be a massive bout. This fight was not. Well, I know Canelo doesn't know me, so I know the fight's definitely not for me. The fight was for Canelo's huge paying fan base. The hate is real. I would question if Canelo has a huge paying fan base. I know DAZN is a good fan base to have that pays him a dumbass amount of money to fight people that nobody's checking for. But the one thing I will tell you, outside of, and this is just, I mean, it is what it is. Outside of his HBO days, the biggest payout that he's gotten, the biggest numbers that he's done has been off of DAZN. It was with Caleb Plant, the PBC, and that Fox deal or Showtime deal, and that's where you see the revenue get generated in a manner that says, damn, Canelo really did this thing. These hidden numbers and this DAZN stuff that they got going on, that's really not it. His fan base ain't really paying like that, but DAZN is. And this is why they went from saying, oh, we don't do pay-per-view to now we're on the pay-per-view model, asking you to pay us an additional 65, 75 bucks on top of the subscription that you've already paid, because we have to figure out a way to recoup the money we've given Canelo Alvarez. Like I said before, I don't know if you just joined the stream, but like I said before, Canelo Alvarez is getting paid the way he gets paid from DAZN based on the work that he did with HBO. It's like submitting a resume for a job, right? Damn, this is a crazy resume. This looks great. We'd love to have you with our organization. We're going to start you at this rate. We're going to give you a bonus of $20,000 or whatever the case may be. But we're coming to the end of this. Canelo can't command these types of dollar amounts, in my opinion, any longer. He's not looking like the guy that's going to continue to carry the sport. And the other thing he has going against him, there's too many young dudes coming up right now who are getting the job done, who are doing it the right way. I don't like saying shit like that, but doing it the right way. But I think you get the larger point. You said Bud didn't have the same kind of publicity as Arrow, and still doesn't. Quite honestly, he still doesn't. And this is part of it. And this is another live that I did, but it's a great point. Shout out to Brian Q. It's part of the reason why it was upsetting to see Bud Crawford re-sign to Top Rank when he did 5 years ago or so, because you knew he was a tremendous talent. You knew he could fight. You knew he was exciting. You knew he was dominant. But being with ESPN and Top Rank, they don't churn out revenue-generating stars, except for Tyson Fury, who made his money outside of ESPN Top Rank fighting Deontay Wilder in the first fight. Then they recognized the opportunity and said, oh, shit, this is probably going to be a big fight. Let's go ahead and sign this guy and then pay him $100 million, which they did. I think it was more than $100 million. And then you have the trilogy get born from that. But ESPN, I don't know why. It's ESPN Top Rank, for whatever reason. Even think about a guy like Lomachenko, who they have mad love for. They don't really push him like that. In the last 10 years, the only fighter that ESPN Top Rankers really pushed is Manny Pacquiao, and that's because he was a beast on his own, and Tyson Fury, like I just mentioned. So, I mean, this is why the negotiations for the Spence Crawford thing are so interesting, because I've said this before as well. Bud Crawford wants to get paid based on his ability, not on his business acumen. Doesn't work like that. It's a whole package for a bargaining position in the sport of boxing, and none of that information is new. None of it's new. You can be the dopest fighter knocking out everybody, but if you can't sell, if you don't demand some sort of buzz, if you're not charismatic, you don't even have to be a shit talker, but if you're not at least charismatic, like, for example, Alexander Usyk, that's a weird-ass dude. He has a lot of charisma, right? So people are kind of itching to see him, and he has a country behind him. But Crawford made a poor decision making or re-signing with Top Rank for a second time, and then that ended in litigation. Now, I guess it's been dropped since then, but still, if we have a breakup and then I end up suing your ass, you already know that we weren't on good terms. Well spoken. I believe he's on his way out with his injured hand. Who had an injured hand? Wide body. Who was that? Canelo? Yeah, I'm away from that response. I didn't see anything on the injury for Canelo, but whenever you get a chance. But yeah, oh, hold up. Shout out Brian Hugh. Canelo got his clout from being. He said he got his clout from being beat up by Floyd. He said he doesn't fight Mexican fighters and he doesn't fight black fighters. That eliminates 90% of his top level opponents. No lies told during the filming of this live. There's no lies there. If someone wants to refute that, shout out to you. But no lies are being told. And what are we supposed to do? Now, I understand being smart in business. I understand trying to make strategic moves. I think all fighters do that. But when you start completely eliminating entire demographics of individuals you're willing to fight, that's a bit head scratching, especially when there's viable and exciting fights there. Also, you've already done it. The thing that you're saying you're not going to do, you've already done it. You've already fought Hispanic, Mexican fighters. You've already done that. Shit, my bad. This has already taken place, right? So Chavez and Angulo, you've already done it. So you woke up that day and said to yourself, you know what, I'm not doing it. No more Hispanic fighters. Mexico, shout out to you guys. I'm not going to fight any more Hispanic fighters. I'm good to go. Very, very bizarre. Very bizarre. But Canelo, 56, 57 fights. He's achieved a lot in the sport. Multi-division champion, undisputed at 168 pounds. He's made all the money in the world. Brand deals are crazy. Beautiful family. From a non-hating perspective, maybe it really is just time to walk away from the sport. If you're not going to fight the best guys out there, have the best guys fighting the best guys, then maybe it is time to walk away. Cherry picking his opponents. Shout out Brian Hugh. He's cherry picking his opponents, and Bevel was a cherry pick gone wrong. Bevel best that dude up or mess whatever. Yeah, he got his ass whooped by Bevel, and the marriage between Eddie Hearn and Canelo Alvarez is not a favorable one for his fighting career, for his financial career. I'm sure it's been great, but to your point, it's all good. To your point, yeah, why do we have to see Caleb's and Liam's and some people disagree with this one. I didn't mind the Billy Joe Saunders fight. I think Billy Joe came in, boxed well, tried to do his thing, got his eye blown up. It is what it is. Canelo in the post-fight interview claims he needs surgery on his hand. I'm done. I'm done. Shout out to Canelo. So what is it? It's Sunday the 18th, it's September currently. He gets surgery. We'll see him back next year spring. Next year spring-ish. And so we don't. The good thing about this, we don't have to talk about who Canelo's going to fight next anymore, because it's going to be some time. I thought that he came away roughly unscathed, but I guess his hand needs surgery. Shout out to you. I didn't know that. I didn't see that. I just think it's a wrap. And I hope that Triple G, he hangs it up. Not because he can't fight. I think he can still beat some good guys out there, but why does he still need to fight? He's still unified champion at 160 pounds. Go back down and fight more. I don't know what's in it for him. He's made his money. He's a tremendous fighter. I don't know if I want to call him an all-timer, but he's one of the best of a particular era for sure. And he went out there and showed that he probably has one of the craziest chins of all time. His chin, his durability, his chin is fucking crazy. I was very, very certain that Canelo Alvarez was going to go out here and brutalize this man because he was looking vulnerable in spots and get him out of there. Like I said before at the beginning of the stream, I was a little bit shocked to see that Triple G had figured out a way to go the distance with Canelo, coming off a loss, going back to his division where he's undisputed. And I thought that Canelo would have more of a chip on his shoulder. Not the media bullshit and, face-offs and stare-downs. Operating with the intent that he wanted to prove something to himself. I am still that dude. I'm still the face of boxing. I am still undisputed at 168 pounds. I'm Canelo fucking Alvarez. I'm about to destroy Triple G. And he went out there and just, fought and boxed, and it was whatever. But that's my time. You guys have been great. I'm gonna try to do more lives. I've been out of it for a little bit just because I've been trying to kind of upgrade what we have going on here. But I appreciate the support. You guys have been amazing as always. Let's hope and pray that we get to talk about the Spence Crawford fight a bit more because I feel like This is dragging on. So there needs to be a legitimate announcement Monday or Tuesday, not this. Both guys say they want to do it. I'm not checking for any of that. He's a good fighter, but we don't know how he would do against Benavidez, Jamal Charlo, Artur Beterbiev. He better not fight. He better not fight Artur Beterbiev. I don't need to see that. I know how he would do. He'll get stopped. If Canelo fights against Benavidez, Charlo, Demetrius Andrade, and beats them all, he returns to the top. I think if he beat two of the three, he would, because those are great fights, right? Those are compelling fights. Those are legitimate. That's legitimate competition. If he fights those guys, then I agree with you 100%. That's how you make your name as the face of boxing, sport of boxing today, not HBO days. Right now, and for right now, he hasn't been doing those things. That's just me being honest. He gets his ass whooped by Charlo, no doubt. Shout out to Widebody. Oh no, hold up, my bad. I hid your comment. That was my bad. Hold up. Anyway, shout out to Widebody. He gets his ass whooped by Charlo, no doubt. Canelo fighting the way he's fighting right now, I think that's a pretty safe, easy pick. No disrespect. Yeah, I mean, he is. It is what it is. Canelo Alvarez, he got to get his shit together. This was not a good night for him. If you're coming to the chat late, I'm about to hop off, but I will leave you with this. The buzz surrounding last night's fight is more about Triple G surviving and being a warrior more than it is about Canelo Alvarez looking great and being a true Mexican champion. This is your boy JG. This is the Punch Report. Guys, take the opportunity to like, subscribe, bell icon for notification in the future. We definitely out.